What a Wild Spirit Brings by Lil, Chapter 31. Lil flew away and felt tears start up. She was overwhelmed with compassion for Trixien. She couldn't imagine being scared her whole life of everyone around her noticing she preferred women, scared of being stoned to death by loved ones for it. How could her kind by birth be so wrong in most ways compared to the Entha, but right in this way? Just because she didn't want to go to bed with the woman didn't mean Trixien should be alone all her life. It was just so sad. She dreamt of Trixien weeping behind a mask of composure until she woke up. The two old women had already packed up some bundles and had a neighbor bring a horse and cart to the house. He was thrilled to do it for a breakfast made by Tick and a promise of dinner made by her as well. Lil really paid them little mind. She followed them onto the cart and promptly pretended to fall asleep. Really, she was lost in thought. Did she really want to be so devoted to a people she didn't agree with? She didn't fit with the Greenlanders or the Entha. Where did she fit? And did she really want to never love a woman again? Had Demeen really taken everything from her, even that? She yearned for her mother. She knew Tindra would tell her the same as Blaxian. She knew Gimp and Mitten would have to kill her outside of the castle her cousin dwelled in. Mornay was probably out to kill her herself for running off. What was she even going to do when she found her brother? What if Tamrock and Mina were wonderful parents? What if her brother was happy? What if he wasn't? Where could she take him? Who would raise him right? Was there anyone in all the world who felt like she did? Lil felt entirely alone, even though there were other people on the other end of the world thinking of her, even though there were 3 other people in the same cart next to her. She was alone. Lil ran to the Wilder. It was where her mother had roamed. There had to be answers here. It was the only place that was different. Lil laid down in a field of black flowers and watched her purple sky float over her. She lay there until a wild animal found her and she had to fly away to keep from snarling some things. Was even the Wilder like the rest of the world then? Was there truly no place for her? Lil flew until she reached the castle. She found her little cousin sleeping in her crib. She was so tiny and white, almost shining. Lil started playing peekaboo with her, and the little spirit laughed. Finally, some place she could smile. She had tried Munchin's advice about making objects, focusing hard on creating a little rattle for her cousin Jelena. See it as there. That's what he had said. She held out her hand and visualized it appearing on her hand. She stared at her hand, even pretended to be holding a rattle, but still nothing appeared. She was getting irritated. What was she doing wrong? She pushed the image of the rattle into her mind with her thought of being her mother's daughter. She thought if that she could hold herself clothed, she could hold a rattle in the image. Nothing. What had the old codger said? Had she gotten it wrong? He swung that mallet of his to get out of the hedges. Was that the only reason he could make it appear? But then, what about his earthen boots and armor? Were those made by him or just part of his outfit? He had said to make them. He had said he made them. The little baby spirit cooed. Lil peeked into the crib and saw her cousin reaching for her hand. There was the rattle. Lil was shocked. How? She hadn't even been trying. She gave the toy to the babe spirit and left her, shaking it and laughing. Lil was glad she'd made it, but she wanted to find somewhere else to practice. She flew to the garden and picked a black leaf. She held it in one hand and focused on making one just like it come into the other hand. She focused until sweat beaded on her. It just wouldn't appear. How did she do it before? She sat down cross-legged and looked at the leaf. What did she do before? She imagined the leaf in her other hand as part of the outfit, just like she had before. Then she tried to distract herself, but still hold that exact image. It was just too hard. She kept thinking too hard about whether or not it would show up. She tried thinking of Mitten and Tindra and Mornay and Tick cooking. None of it worked. Then a spirit appeared in the garden. The spirit was red and a woman. Lil's throat clenched for a moment, scared it would be Mitten, but she realized that Mitten would never nap in a garden. Besides, during the day she was helping the Queen Judge. She started to get up and found the leaf in her hand, just the same as the leaf in her other one. She threw both in frustration. How? She looked over at what must be Ginfeldani, leaned against a tree. She got up and sat directly in front of her. She wanted to be back at the table, eating chicken and noodles with her again. She felt bad that she hadn't apologized to her for her behavior that day. Suddenly, she realized the table was there between them, and they were sitting on chairs. Lil shut her eyes and simply tried to desire for there to be a wreath of flowers on Gimp's head. When her eyes opened, there weren't any flowers. She had been sure that's what it was. Desire. Munchkin said see it. What did that really mean? And then it hit her. See it meant exactly that. Don't hope it'll be there. Don't try to make it there. Don't wish it were there. Don't attempt to force it or imagine it. See it as there. She left her eyes open and remembered Gimp laughing with flowers over her temples. The wreath was there. She could see it. She wasn't surprised. She had known it would be. That didn't surprise her. It was so easy. It was like art. She had drawn animals, and when the charcoal scraped the paper, she had known it would leave a line. It was the very same knowing she had here. She suddenly made the chairs and table turn into roses without thorns. Then she made paper and ink and quill appear. She returned the table to wood and started writing a letter of apology. She might not be able to say she was sorry in life, but she could at least let Gimp's spirit know. She left the letter there. It basically said she regretted anything she might have done to hurt Gimp, and hoped she would be forgiven, for she honestly didn't mean to her harm. She admired her. She hoped she was well, and that her life was as happy as a life could be. She missed her, and was glad to have known her, and hoped Gimp felt the same. Lil. She wrapped it in a rose. The spirit reached out to her, almost like it was scared to do so. Lil placed the letter in her hand. The spirit woke up, and it and the letter disappeared suddenly. It made her feel better. The real world might not make any sense at all, but the wilder really was home. She could almost feel her mother watching her from the north, where Henry had flown. They were both watching her and smiling. She was smiling too as she sat up in the cart.